Welcome back to The Designer and the Writer. I'm your host, Creative Bobbie, and I am a designer.
I'm TJ Tooley, and I'm a writer.
And we are back with the finale of our reverse retro experience with the Scotia North. TJ, Scotia North.
Remember that. It's the Canadian North.
Oh, TJ, fighting against progress. Anyway, so we're back and we're covering the North, and we're going to kick it off with the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs jersey straddles two seasons with the logo from their 1969-1970 jersey and the striping from their 1970-71 jersey, with the gray being a nod to the silver that's featured in their Centennial Classic jersey from 2017. Now, looking at the Toronto Maple Leafs jersey, like, here's the thing. So this is not as good as jerseys of theirs that I've liked in the past because, you know, they're winter classics and stuff. Like, and I love the colors of just that blue color, that blue and white. Really, it really works for me. So the attempt to integrate this gray, I guess, I mean, I kind of get it, but I kind of don't. So it's overall is cool, but it's like in my head, like I have like the because they're Centennial Classics, and like just I think for them, especially for the type of logo they have, they can go more simple than other people. Like they don't have to try to combine everything together. But I mean, it's not a horrible jersey. You know what I mean? It's cool. Like I love the maple leaf patches on top. Like I think I can get with the gray on top. Like I think the gray in the numbers and the like, I don't know quite how I feel about that, but overall I think it's a cool jersey. I just their standard my standard for the Toronto Maple Leafs is so high because they've been killing the game for so long that this doesn't quite hit as high for me as others. But TJ, what are your thoughts on the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Well, this jersey is fine. Like it's a good looking jersey in terms of the template is there, and I mean it's got their colors, and I do like the stripe. I like the blue leaf on the shoulder, yes, and the blue numbers on the silver. I like that a lot. I like the stripe at the bottom. If you're going to go with this color scheme, I do wish that the numbers were also just plain gray on the back, yes, just like the name. Trusting their colors a little bit more with that. The leaf on the and the captain patch and the associate captain patch, like those should also just be plain gray. They tried to do the outline thing because that's what they did with the leaf. I get it. I kind of wish it was a gray leaf with blue script on it, but it's there. They took a template, they added a different logo, and they picked between two of their more boring leafs, but that's fine. And they created something that's honoring parts of the past. I wish that they hadn't said that the gray was from their Centennial Classic jersey because that's one of my favorite jerseys they've ever worn. But they did it. And I don't think that they needed to do a gray jersey, even though they could have. But I don't know. This one just feels like they got caught up trying to do something. They're like, this is almost too plain. Let's do something a little bit different with the numbers. And for my money, I wish that they would have done just solid gray on the blue, because the solid blue on the gray looks so good.
Moving on to the Edmonton Oilers, and off rip, I like the Edmonton Oilers logo. So the centerpiece is clear. I also am a fan of the combination of orange and blue anyway. So looking at this jersey, the stripes, like having those stripes and having that, what did you call this at the top? A yoke? Is that
shoulder yoke.
shoulder yoke?
Yeah, shoulder yoke.
I'm learning things, but like with the orange there, I like that a lot. I like the blue and orange stripes on the sleeves and the bottom of the jersey. The middle logo really pops. The double stroking of the numbers and the C is an interesting choice. Definitely makes it dynamic. I will always be curious on if a jersey could have had color on color, because we've talked about that at length on this channel. But yeah, these jerseys are a nod to their inaugural season, which also was Wayne Gretzky's first NHL season. And the reverse retro is the first Oilers jersey to feature an orange yoke on a white base. So look at that, making history there.
Coming from a high school that was orange and blue, I have a soft spot in my heart for orange and blue color schemes together. You talk about the reverse retro concept, and they switched the blue and the white. And I mean, that you can't really ask for more than that. It's it's just there. They took it and they flipped it. I think I like that they took the orange sleeves away. It looks really good on the original jersey because of how the stripes worked, but because of how the stripes have to work on the sleeves because of the reversed colors, this bottom orange stripe here would have either had to just be the orange all the way down or add an extra white stripe, which I think would have looked weird. So in a way, this more modernized look, I think, actually looks better for what they're doing. And there's, they could have just done just orange numbers and just an orange C, and like they could have done that, but they did the old template, and I can't be mad at them for that. I like the upgraded collar. I think it looks pretty good. The old collar was fine, but for the template that they use now, this is the right look. And I mean, it looks good. They didn't change too much. They didn't go too crazy. If you want to see a good color on color look at their all navy and orange alternates. They do, it's navy top to bottom with just orange, no extra piping, and it looks really solid. But overall, I think it looks good. I think some people might be whelmed by it, not overwhelmed or underwhelmed, because it's just so to the book. They flip the color, and it's a white jersey with orange yoke, and it looks good. So they'll look good on the ice. It fits with their scheme. I don't think that this is going to be, for a lot of these teams, I've been saying like permanent third jersey. I don't think this is the case. I think this is just hey, we did our reverse retro and that was fun, but I think they should stick to their navies as their thirds.
Moving on to the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets wore similar jerseys in their first season in the NHL, and their reverse retro takes the look worn by Dale Hawerchuk. Interesting. People in hockey got some interesting last names, boy, I tell you. And gives it a twist, combining the heritage plain crest and Winnipeg lettering with the updated Jets colors. I think the gray and the various blues work well. I actually like how the yoke is all the way down the sleeve with the white. Like, I feel like having that white be the separation between the gray and the blue, I think that works really well. I think definitely the application of the updated color scheme, I think, works well for this design of jersey, and I really think it'll look good. Like, I'm a fan of.
The Winnipeg Jets are a interesting case in uniforms, right? Because the original team left and they're now down having an identity crisis in Arizona, but the new team that's up there, they wanted to do something different, and they went with kind of the more military style looking logo that has the maple leaf with the plane, the fighter jet. I love that. I think it looks so good. They have like the wings over on their shoulders and their shoulder patches. They look great. And the color scheme that they went with the two different types of blue, the lighter blue, which is gorgeous, and the dark blue, it just works super well. And so when you get a franchise like that, you have this fandom that wants a team so badly that they got another team, right? And so they want to throw back to that, but they've played in outdoor games. They've played heritage games. They've brought back the old look that they wanted as throwbacks already. And so you want to do something where if you're reversing back to something, the only thing you really can reverse back to is that era, but you want to do something different than when you just had your heritage jerseys, which were the exact copy. And so you either do a different color or like maybe the blue version or whatever. And so to bring it into their current color scheme, they had, we're going to take these templates, we're going to modernize it a little bit, play with it, flex it out a little bit, and do something cool. And I think them doing this jersey in gray is them committing to what could be a third look going forward. It's something different. They already have a light blue jersey. It's the one with the script Jets across the front, which I personally like a lot. Some people don't like that one as much, but I think it looks great. And so you could have your navies, which look great, your whites, which look great, your light blue script Jets, which looks great, and now your throwback grays. They're just building out their uniforms. It's different. They tried something. They went somewhere and they did it, and I think it looks really cool. I wasn't expecting gray when I saw them. When they did the trailer for the reverse retros, I saw gray Jets. I was like, whoa, that's different, but I like it. And I think it looks cool. And I think they did a good job.
Montreal Canadiens. And the Montreal Canadiens, I'm going to read theirs, but based on the pictures you showed me, it's pretty clear cut what they did. But arguably, this one is interesting. Arguably one of the greatest NHL teams ever assembled, the 1976-77 Canadiens serve as inspiration for this reverse retro, which takes the legendary red jersey and flips it blue. And that's exactly what it is. They took that jersey and they flipped it. And they were like, here you go. Now, get off our backs about reverse retros. I mean, it looks good. I can definitely honestly say that I like this blue base for them more than the red base for them. The stripes are in pretty much the same spots. It's pretty open and shut case. So if you didn't like the reverse, the thing they're inspired by, like, you're not gonna like this. But if you're cool with how they modernized it, like, I did find it interesting that these back in the day versions of them, the logo is so small in the middle. So I'm definitely glad they didn't, continue that. Like, they, made it a little bigger. But yeah, I think this is cool. TJ, what do you think of the Canadiens?
So first off, I'm going to say some really great praise for this in a second. So I have to get some shade out of the way first. I personally the original sixes, some of those teams are like, yeah, we were some of the greatest. Look at all of our cups. And I'm like, yeah, it was really easy when you had to play 5 other teams all year and you had the best roster. The same thing happens in baseball with like the Yankees. We're like, yeah, we were kicking butt and taking names back when there were like 4 other teams. It's like, yeah, of course. and whatever. Anyway, I can't speak to them being maybe one of the greatest teams in hockey ever, but they did win a lot back then. Now, as for the praise, I think that their jerseys are pretty good in general. They haven't changed much. Not really. I mean, they may have moved the numbers around and changed the striping a little bit, but for the most part, they look like what they did back then. And so they picked an era, they picked that specific time, and they flipped it. And I think the hats look great in blue. I got to see these on the ice already. Man, they look good. They didn't play super well in them, but they looked really good in those jerseys. I think that this is such a cool thing for them to do because they didn't have to. They chose to do something that, I mean, really, it was kind of their only option. But I think this blue looks great. I like it a lot. I think it looks pretty solid. They did the reverse retro concept the way we asked them to, and they kind of flipped the blue and the red. They made the logo bigger, which I like a lot, as you pointed out. And in the past, it probably had something to do with the embroidery or the stitching that they'd have to do. So you can't make it too big because that's too much work. Mm-hmm. But they made it bigger. and I think it looks solid. I sent you a couple of other pictures to point out to you that something that they do is they're the only team that has the French spelling of National Hockey League on their crest on the neckline right there. Ligue des Nationales Hockey or whatever it is. I don't speak French, but I've always loved that about them. I think that that's pretty neat because, you know, you are in the French-speaking part of Canada and you're the most French team out of all of the league's teams. So I think that's cool. This is one of my favorite reverse retro jerseys in general. I think that this easily permanent third. I would wear it a lot. And they should, I think if the fans don't like it, they should, because it's a really good looking jersey. That blue is gorgeous.
Yeah.
So
we're moving on to the Calgary Flames. Now, so I think this one kind of surprised me the most out of all the reverse retros, because as I'm not as familiar with all the teams as you are, TJ, but when I think the Calgary Flames, I just the C. So I'm like, okay, well, that's what I expect to see. Haha, what I expect to see. But this logo they have in the middle, like like it pops, like it's like in your face, like this is like some 90s super testosterone type stuff up in here. Like, yeah, there's a horse with the flames coming out the nose and flame tat on the forehead. Like, but like, so like the horse head, their initial third jersey, and it was the first time that a Calgary jersey did not showcase the flaming C. It's a celebration of their Western culture, and it was the team's home jersey from 2000 to 2003. So looking at these pictures that you sent me, I immediately, they didn't do much to it, but they made some crucial choices that I definitely agree with. So the first one off the bat, I am very glad they did not do the sleeves and the bottom the same way. Like, I'm very, very glad that they did not just have it end in like a block, like so much red at the bottom or on the sleeves, because I think this design works so much better the way they have it here, where you have the red and the gold striping on the sleeves going down at the bottom, but you keep the majority of it black, because everything on the black, it really pops. Like, I think the logo in the front works really well. I think the numbers work well with that double stroke of the red and the gold with the 5, the name. Well, you can't be a team that's known for a flaming C and think I'm not even just going to entertain the possibility of that captaincy to be the flaming C in some way, shape, or form. I'm not saying it would work. I'm just saying, if I were a designer designing this, it'd be something I would at least try. It would be a layer that I would have, that I'd be like testing it out. But overall, I think this is really well done.
First of all, I like Blasty. I think he looks cool. I think that it's a great jersey. And so Calgary is an interesting team because in recent years, and more like this season in particular, they've switched from their jerseys that had kind of the black C on it, and the black and yellow stripes and stuff. They've switched from that to their red and yellow and white home look, and then they created the white look. And so they're just doing their throwback looks full time. That's just who they are now. And so I don't think that they ever had an intention of doing something that wasn't going to just be the third jersey for this kit, because what are you going to do? The jerseys they would throw back to are what they're wearing now. And so they could have done like maybe a like yellow, but I think that would have looked like trash. I think that this jersey looks really good. They did what the Rangers did. They modernized an old classic that they can bring in and wear as a third jersey from now on. I'm glad you mentioned the sleeves in the bottom, because this looks so much better with that being black. It looks pretty sharp. For me, I would be curious to see what like the names and the numbers would look like if they were maybe yellow and like outlined with red and then white, kind of like to mimic the horse a little bit more, or if they were black instead of white and see what a kind of a ghost stroke kind of thing would have looked like. But that's just my curiosity. They did the old jersey. They just brought it into the 2020s. And it's not necessarily a reverse retro, but they did bring a cool retro jersey back. And I think that for them, especially with, the next picture I sent you with the red and the white jersey, those are their home and their roads. This fits as a cool alternate third look, permanent third, as long as you keep this color scheme. I sent you a couple more pictures because I just want to talk about them, because I don't talk about hockey teams enough. Calgary is an interesting team because they were the Atlanta Flames. They were in Atlanta. They were taken out of there and placed in Calgary. And they didn't have to do anything to acknowledge their history there, but they kept the A from the Atlanta Flames. And that's part of what's on their helmets. And that's part of the A, like the associate captain patch. I think that's really cool. It's a nice touch. I don't think they're doing that anymore, at least not with their current set. But they did that for most of the time I've been watching hockey. And I thought that was a really cool nod to where their team came from initially.
Moving on to the Vancouver Canucks. I'm going to be totally honest. I am not familiar with the Canucks at all. When I saw the logo, I was like, okay, so what is a Canuck? And that logo is interesting. But the original alternate jersey they had was red and blue. So this reverse retro reflects the team's current Pacific Northwest colorway. So, I mean, I think this is a little like they took the basic concept of what they already had before and changed the colors. Actually, they just changed the red is now the green now in that aspect of it. I don't think it's terrible or anything. It doesn't wow me. I do like when, well, like is a strong word. I do find it interesting when teams try to get away with gradients in official uniforms, but I think it works here. The colors complement each other really well, and the stroking that they've done here is interesting because they've done the white and then stroke the blue and then the white again. I don't know how I feel about that, but I think it's cool. I don't have anything big negative to say. TJ, what are your thoughts?
The Canucks are a weird team. They've had such a weird uniform history. They had the really gross looking flying V jerseys that people love because it's gimmicky. The flying skate logo that they've thrown back to recently, people were calling for the skate to come back. But if you look at one of the pictures I sent you next, Robert, you'll see that they had their their 50th anniversary jersey collection. They did kind of a soft upgrade of their jerseys. So they have their home and the road, both featuring the sea orca. And then they did the stick logo, which people like the stick logo. And I have my own thoughts on that particular jersey, but they did that. And then they did a pure throwback to the skate logo, which is great. So if you have all of these in your arsenal now, you don't need to do a green and blue version of the skate logo. I'm sorry, you just don't. And I don't think they should have done the V logo because I think that that's really silly personally. And you can get a green and blue version if you want to, but what they chose to do is, I said back when we were talking about Anaheim, that the reverse retros are inherently gimmicky. Just the concept of what they're doing as a league is gimmicky. And so what else can they do that's gimmicky? A gradient. They have it in their arsenal. They did it back when they were, red, white, and blue. If you have ever thought you may have seen this jersey, if you watch How I Met Your Mother, Robin Scherbatsky wears a Canucks jersey a lot. And it was in that color scheme era. I think that this is cool. I like the green instead of the red. I think that the green really pops on this jersey because of the darkness of the blue. The numbers, they probably could have modernized and just done a single white number or maybe a single outline. But I mean, that's nitty gritty, nitpicky. I think it looks pretty cool. I think it's going to look neat on the ice. And like a lot of the teams we've talked about for this Canadian North Division, I don't think these are going to stick around. They may pull them out every once in a while, but I think this is just, hey, we did our reverse retro. Look at it. Isn't it fun? Okay. And we'll just have that as a footnote in our uniform history from now on. But I think it looks really nice. I think it looks sharp, and I think the fans will like it. It kind of speaks more to the younger, newer audience that they're trying to appeal to. But personally, I like it. I think they look pretty cool, and they did something different from anyone else in the league. So I can't be upset with that. I like it.
Finally, we're at the Ottawa Senators, and unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we've usually ended these videos with jerseys that we liked, or at least had like strong feelings about. We're not ending the best way with this. Ottawa, first off, with the Ottawa Senators, my first thing about the Ottawa Senators is they have a illustrated logo of the Senator that I like. I'm not saying I hate this one they have on this jersey here, but there is a other version, and I'm like, oh wow, that is really dynamic, really like use that. But they want to throw it back, and that's cool. The jersey that the Senators wore in their inaugural season, updated with a red base to reflect the team's recent rebranding. Now, that's a lot of red. That is a lot of red. We do have shoulder patches. Okay, so that's good. But it's like, here's what I don't understand. So we have a red jersey with white name with black letters. What is the goal of all of this different? Like, why is the name white, but then the numbers are black outlined in white on a red jersey? Like, and then the stripes. So you have this, you have the stripes on the side with the number on top of stripes. So the stripes are black, but then you have the number is black outlined in white over the black. So we couldn't have just scooched those things just a little bit so the number is actually inside of the stripes instead of just having black on white on black on red. I don't like this. I'm trying to think of something positive to say about this. And you don't even have the Senator logo that I like, the version that I like. TJ, talk about Ottawa.
So Ottawa, they have not been good lately. They've been going through kind of an identity crisis. There's a whole lot of drama involving the team's ownership and the city and stuff that we don't need to get into because that would make me angry. So what did they do? They decided, let's go. We're starting fresh. We haven't been good for a little bit. We've kind of been on the cusp, and we've maybe been trying to make a run, but then we just haven't done it. And so they're doing something new. Start fresh. Let's get some new, look, get some excitement around the brand again. And so that's why they did the rebrand. They went with their old school logo, which the Senator that you like was actually around at the same time as this logo now that they are using full time. It was just like an alternate logo, and it became their primary logo, and now they're back to the old logo. I personally like both. I think that this old school logo, I've been wanting them to bring it back as a throwback for a while. It looks pretty sharp. They showed off their red and their whites before the reverse retros were announced, and we're like, okay, at some point we're going to get a red third. Just based on how the uniforms look, we're going to get a red jersey. Well, reverse retros came out, and we're like, oh, so they just did their red version to give themselves a third. So while a lot of jerseys, I would say this should be a permanent third, this one is going to be a permanent third. This is what they did. It's intentional. There's no getting around that. Now, to talk about the jersey itself, if you look at the red or the black and the white jerseys, their home and their road jerseys, it is the same jersey except from the red stripes up, they did white instead of black. It's pretty simple, pretty basic. It doesn't get easier than that. The white numbers are fine. I'm sure that the numbers on the back of the white jersey are black. And now the red jersey. For some reason, they decided to make it 2 black stripes with red in the middle. And I understand why, but also I don't like it, because they're trying to keep it where black and white are their colors primarily, but then these stripes are black. These stripes are black on every other jersey, and just because this is red, you switch the red and the black. No, you could have done white. You could have done a thick white stripe if you wanted to. You could have done 2 small white stripes if you wanted to and kept it red. I don't think that's the right call. I think it should have been a black thick stripe, just like the rest of your uniforms, and then white stripes on the outside to at least make it a little bit different. And then that would give more reason for there to be white in your uniform. And then, because the numbers might look a little bit weird from there, you need to figure out what you want to do. This white outlined black on the black, it doesn't work for me the way that I think they think it does. I don't think I like the names in white. It's like they caught up between a couple different ideas. It looks fine, but there's just, the more you look at it, the more it's like, really? I would have liked to have seen something that was a little bit more color on color. Just you have your red, you have your black, do that. Or something that I don't think they've done before, outside of maybe a little bit of pattern on like the base of their jersey, do something with the gold. It's kind of a cool aspect of your brand, and it's nowhere in your uniform outside of this logo. That could have been a cool piping color that you could have done. That could have been maybe not on a red jersey, but if it was like a black jersey or a white jersey, you could have done that with the numbers or the names or something. And just for me, it's just a little boring. You have a chance to do something, and I get it. You just did a throwback redesign, but you could have revealed a third jersey and done a reverse retro. Get that money. You know what I mean? Like, you could have done it, but they didn't. And this one's going to stick around, even if it shouldn't.
My vote is for shouldn't, but so just so I don't want to end this beautiful series on such a bad note with Ottawa Senators, just not doing what they should do. I'm just going to quickly just rattle off my top 4 reverse retros, and they're very easy for me to do because I think these are the 4 that for me kind of stick out above the rest. So obviously Minnesota Wild. That's top for me. I think Minnesota, Vegas, LA, and Washington are those are the ones where it's like, wow, you really gave us something beautiful to look at.
So the Wild you mentioned, they're very high up there. We talked about that should be a whole rebrand. Vegas, I could gush about as well because they look awesome. Washington, the Screaming Eagles back. Those are fantastic and should stay forever. I just gushed about the Habs, the Canadiens. They look great in blue. I think that they should do blue moving forward as a third. I would also like to talk about the color purple, the Kings and the Yotes. The Yotes had a really pretty purple, and the LA Kings just doing 2 different, like a color scheme from one jersey with the crown from that logo, but then also doing a different uniform scheme, marrying it all together. It's just really pretty. I've got a special shout out to the Hurricanes / Whalers and also the Avalanche / Nordiques, because they both pulled something from their past and did something cool with it.
So that concludes our review of the reverse retros. It's been fun, TJ, reviewing all these and getting your hockey expertise. And we can't sign off without you showing the people what you're wearing right now, TJ. What jersey you got on over there?
For those of you who don't know, I am a huge Doctor Who fan. And when the opportunity presented itself for me to get a Doctor Who themed jersey from Geeky Jerseys that has this beautiful shoulder patch, it's personalized with my last name on it. And also the number that I chose was 11 because Matt Smith is my favorite Doctor. We can talk for hours about best or favorite Doctors because Peter Capaldi, and anyone, I'm gonna get my soapbox for a second. Jodie is great, and the current Doctor cast is good. The writing, say what you will about it, don't send the hate on them. Like, we don't need to do that. Let's not be a toxic fan base, please. And I really like what they're doing. I'm excited for what they're going to do next. Doctor Who is a great show. If you haven't watched it, you should. If you can find a place to stream it. I think HBO Max might have all of the seasons.
Yep.
It's British and it's awesome. It's a little daunting for people to get into, but there's the classic era from back in like the 60s, and like it went for a while and then it stopped, and then they did a reboot in 2005, and that's where I would recommend starting because it's a single continuity, but they only really reference the past. They don't really, you don't need to know all of the adventures because even I haven't watched all the classic stuff. So 2005 onward is a great place to start, and it's a great show. This is a great jersey from Geeky Jerseys, and I don't own any Canadian team jerseys, so I thought this was as good a place as any to pull this out.
Oh, nice. That's going to do it for us here on this episode of Designer and the Writer. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Let us know in the comment section down below what was your favorite jersey in this batch, and overall, what are your favorites from the reverse retros? Remember, as you go along in life, teach as you learn and inspire as you do. See you next time.